you know, the non-end wing bosses, and then day 2, Blood Queen, Cindergosa, Putricide. Cindergosa is definitely doing normal mode, not even going to attempt hard mode week 1. It's a very that's going to eat a lot of time, and Putricide probably not either. Blood Queen is possible. She's pretty easy heroic to get done, but you know, we'll see. And obviously, like I said, we need at least 2 hours so we can knock out Lich King. All right, we don't want to eat into that 2 hours. It's going to be bad if we don't get Lich King normal at least.
You can only do normal Lich King without heroic Cindergosa.
Right. When I was talking about forced wipes, I'm saying just like, you know, learning the Valkyries and stuff like that. If we want to do something like that. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's take a look at it. So Marigar heroic should not take a whole lot of time. Maybe 1-2 wipes at most. Should be able to knock it out. I got a couple of VODs here. Tanks are going to go in together, and they need to split the damage that his melee attacks. The raid just needs to kind of spread out. I'm sure there'll be some min-max things we do here, but for progression, this is what we're going to do. Make sure you don't bake in the fire. 2 or 3 ticks will kill you. People are going to get hit with the bones. Make sure you break those people out. Sometimes they'll be in the back of the room. And then the Bone Storm. The Bone Storm hits the entire room, so you can't avoid it. But the further away you are from him, the less damage it will do to you. So whenever he goes into Bone Storm, the tanks are going to split, just like we have here. Tank 1 go off the left, tank 2 right, and the hunter can kind of bait the back. And the raid needs to be confined within that triangle, so that they aren't getting charged, and you guys can melee from max range. We got cooldowns for the Bone Storm that we can use here. Very quickly, we should only be getting like 1 Bone Storm per kill here. Any questions about this fight? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because it's super easy even on heroic mode. Good? All right. Death Whisper. I don't want to spend a super long amount of time on this one either because we're going to be skipping hard mode for a week or 2. But basically, this one comes down to phase 2 not getting hit with the ghosts. Tanks, we went over it last night. These ads, the melee ads, the fanatics, F1, F2, F3, and then this one's random that comes from the steps, whether it's an adherent or a fanatic. Those have to be picked up. So the prop paladin is assigned to the 2 on the left, F1, F2, and then the tank 2, either the DK or the feral, needs to get F3, and then F4 if it's a fanatic. The casters shouldn't be really killing anyone. DPS can kind of tank those if needed. Obviously, try to pick them up, but prioritize the fanatics. What else we got? There's obviously the mind control. So, like, about 5 seconds prior to this mind control going off, it's good to have someone call, hey, stop AoE. Mind control is about to happen. Druids, you need to be doing the best job that you can on cycloning the mind controlled people. That's really the best tool that we have to keep those people alive. Cyclone prevents them from taking cleave damage, so it's just really important that we get those cyclones off. Anything else I want to go over here? There's a death and decay. Move out. Just make sure we're killing the ads, getting them interrupted. Eventually, I might add some grip assignments to these adherents, but for now, it's just spell lock and counterspell. Make sure they're interrupted and they get pulled into the stack and we AoE them. Any question about phase 1? Can you guys hear me fine? Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay.
We can hear.
All right, good. All right, phase 2. Well, first of all, when you do damage to her, she has a mana shield, so the damage eats mana instead of her health. And when she gets to 0 mana, as you can see here, that's when the phase is going to occur. So if you phase right as a new wave of ads spawns, it's almost certainly going to cause a wipe. So if you aren't certain that you can get her to 0 before the next wave, then obviously you need to stop DPS and you need to wait. Okay, so every raid's going to be different, but very quickly it'll be, we're going to kill 2 waves of ads in phase 1, and then we'll phase her. But if you need to wait and kill a 3rd wave of ads, then just that's way better than having a guaranteed wipe. Okay. Also, it's good to wait for the mind controls to happen, so we're going into the next phase fresh. Here, the push call's made. We have 8 seconds to the next set of ads, and there she is. She phases. Worcester, I got meleeed on the pull here. It's just, we have to be careful when she phases. She's immune to taunt. Tanks, you just got to do your best to pick her up quickly as you can. And the strategy that we're going to be employing, this might change again as well, is the range are going to be kind of like spread out within the middle of the room, and then whichever side the ads are going to be on, that's which side we're going to take the boss to. So as you can see here, the ads spawned on the right side of the room. It's just 3 ads. We want to focus on picking up the fanatics, and the boss should be stacked on that side. The ghosts are really the big thing that will hold you back here. They're hard to see, and if you hit one, it's extremely bad. People die almost certainly when you hit a ghost. I'll try to. Okay, right there's one. You see, just a little purple guy. It hits everyone in 20 yards for, I don't know, 20,000. I mean, it's really devastating. So ideally, we want the boss backpedaled over here and ready whenever this next set of ads. We were just learning this strategy, so we weren't we weren't super up to speed with what was going on here. But we want the boss over here so we can cleave off the boss and hit the ads. Once again, we got to watch that dominate mind cooldown tracker right here. We got mind controls that are about to happen, and we're AoEing the shit out of these ads. So we got to hit the brakes right here and switch to single target. And then when these mind controls hit, that's when we're doing cyclones, we're doing fears, all that stuff. And at the same time, we're watching out for all these ghosts that are going to be spawning around. Everyone in the raid needs a weak aura to audio alert them when the ghosts spawn. Kind of the same way, you remember where we needed an audio thing for Cosmic Smash for Algalon, otherwise people were getting hit with that a lot. You must have for this fight. It's just extremely devastating when someone gets hit by a ghost. They target a random player and they follow them around. If it goes off, it's really bad for the raid. They put a stacking threat thing. We'll be running 3 tanks here for this fight. That I don't expect that to last long, but for the short term, the Feral is going to assist tanking this fight in phase 2.
It is tauntable on normal.
Okay, normal, we can taunt it. Cool. Any questions about this fight? Don't get hit with ghosts. Have a weak aura to alert you, and don't kill mind control players. That's about it.
One tip about the ghosts is they're actually a projectile from the boss, so you can have a little bit of warning as to where they're going to spawn.
Okay, is that what I'm seeing there?
It's hard to see, but they come out of her head, and they.
It's like a purple projectile.
Yeah, they travel in an arc and then hit the ground and spawn a ghost.
It makes like a purple pillar where they spawn.
Right there on the stairs.
Okay. Yeah, these are good tips. Yeah, look for the purple pillar. Look for the stuff coming out of her head. This is one of these fights where you're definitely going to need to take a little bit of attention off of your rotation and put it onto what's around you. Otherwise, you're going to eat a ghost. You're going to kill everybody around you. Okay. Let's move on. All right. Next would be gunship. I'm not going to go over gunship. Just put some people on the turrets and have the turrets hit the people on the other side, and put your shirt on and just fly over there. 1 tank on each side, easy peasy. So Sour Fang, this one's not too bad. I think we're gonna go with 4 healers to start, and that resto Druid is going to go Moonkin. Some of the ranged are in melee. If you're a ranged and you're going to be in melee, so the hunters, the shadow priest, anyone else that maybe moves in if they have a mark on them, you're going to go in this number 5 position behind Sourfang. Okay, you don't want to be too far away, or you could get targeted with the blood boil, and that would be really, really bad. But you're going to be kind of off to the right some. That's where the ranged are going to go. Otherwise, there's specific positions. It's extremely important that you guys are spread out. You don't cleave one another, and you take as little damage as you possibly can here. The more damage he does, the more damage he's going to deal to the tanks, and the faster he's going to put those marks out on the raid, and it's going to cause a wipe. I need to adjust the soulstone assignment here so that the ret is in there as well. But basically, the marks, healers, you guys are going to have to really communicate a little bit on the mark targets. So the thing with the marks is we want the resto shaman healing a melee marker. So a rogue, a death knight, the shadow priest is going to be melee, so that would be okay, or the hunters, one of those would be okay as well, probably. But preferably somebody that is legit melee, the ret paladin, the DK, the rogues, the warrior, the enhancement, any of those. If one of those gets picked for mark, then the shaman needs to just chain heal that person, and that'll help out with the tanks as well. The beacons preferably are better to go on range targets like warlocks, mages, the moonkins, something like that. Okay, so if the marks were like, let's say it was B1, this moonkin, then La is going to get that one. And then let's say the next marker was a rogue. Instead of beacon number 2 going on that, let's put the resto shaman chain healing that one. And then beacon 3 goes on a warlock, or mark 3 goes on a warlock. He can do that one. And then let's say mark 4 goes on one of the holy paladins. Okay, in that case, we're not going to DI the holy paladin. Okay, but we are going to DI one of those DPS that's convenient for us. So probably the warlock would get DI'd, and we would switch that beacon onto a different target. Okay, so healers, you guys just have to communicate. The other part is the adds that spawn. It's really important to tanks that we don't move the boss at all, that he's always facing the same direction, so that these adds that spawn always spawn in the same positions that they would. The other thing with tanks, when you get hit, make sure the other guy taunts. Taunt immediately. Don't do any countdown. You just got to taunt right away. We don't want the boss meleeing the person with this mark of blood thing. The higher his rage is, the more damage he does. So when we're taunting and he has high rage, we need to be thinking about using a trinket, or at least something like that, a cooldown. When the beasts spawn, I think they spawn based on which way he's facing, and he does turn to do things here and there. So sometimes the direction they are will change a little bit, but it's everyone's responsibility to nuke the hell out of these blood beasts whenever they spawn. The one on the back right here, in this case Moon, melee, that one's going to get hodged. You guys are going to blow it up. And then the ranged, I have you guys kind of set up to attack the target that's kind of like furthest from you. So like M2, what's Mage 2? So Filthy and Iremolian in this case. It would be, that's not a good example. Well, anyways, he would be attacking target number 1. So that's opposite of him. And then say like target number 3, let's say target number 2, that would be Bora. You know what I'm saying? Like I have him like trying to put the target furthest away from you, so it has to like come through the boss, and you get more time to adjust. But like as soon as these are about to get loose, they need to get hit with the knockback, and that's why we're running the other druid as well as Boomkin. So we're gonna have 2 knocks, which should be plenty of time for us to get these blood beasts down. Do keep in mind though, we're going to be using Frost Trap, and because of that, as soon as these mobs exit Frost Trap, they are going to be moving at 100% movement speed. Okay, that's just the way Frost Trap works. Unless I put a more powerful slow on them, soon as they get out of that frost trap, they're gonna be one step away from hitting you, and you're gonna die. So do not get meleeed by them. And then when he gets low health, he does 30% more damage. Any questions about this fight?
Yeah, I had a few questions. Are we all single target on the blood beasts?
Yeah. So they take 90% reduced AoE. We won't be doing any AoE on those. Obviously, the Death Knights are going to Pestilence, but we're not going to be doing like I don't know, Blizzard or anything like that. So yeah, just follow the assignments here. The melee take care of number 5. The rogues and the feral are going to stay on the boss. I got a mage and a lock on number 4. A moonkin and 2. I don't know why those are the same. I have to adjust that. I'm not sure why that's a bug, or that's not a bug, but that's an error that I have 2 people in the same one. But at least 2 people in number 3, and then 3 people in number 2, and 2 people in number 1. So you as soon as it spawns, you switch to it and you single target the hell out of your ad. Yes.
Okay. Another random question: is there a minimum number of people required in range for Blood Boil, and does DI affect that number if it exists?
Yeah, I would bet that DI affects that number because that person's out of combat. And yes, there's a minimum number, and I assume that it's 8. That's what Vezax was, right? Vezax 25.
Yeah, 8 on 25 man.
Yeah, that's
Okay, I'm going to assume that it's 8 here as well for a lot of these fights. In this case, I think we got 11 right here. So if one dies, one gets DI'd, and one moves into melee, we still have 8.
What circumstances are people moving into melee? Sorry.
It is nice to move into melee if you get if mage 1 gets a mark, and if you're getting a beacon, it's not really a big deal, but you'll take a lot of splash and chain healing and glyph of holy light by being in melee. So those are the advantages. The disadvantages from M1 going in melee is he could potentially get targeted by a beast, get meleeed, and then if you die with a mark, it is basically a wipe. The boss gets healed for like 10% of his health, 20% of his health maybe. It's a lot. I don't have that in the assignments, so just disregard it. But if we're having people with the marks dying, that is a change that you can make. You can start having them go into melee, and they'll take additional splash healing. If he has high rage, remember I said if he's got high rage, he does more damage. If he's got like 80, 90 rage, and you have mark of you have the mark on you, and you get hit with a blood boil, you could die in like 1.5 seconds. Or 1 second. It is an extremely high amount of damage. That's kind of why I have the Prot and the Ret using their bops to help mitigate damage and slow him down. And then I kind of have the Holy Paladin's bops in case, something like that happens. I don't know. Bops are really good to, just get rid of some of the mechanics that give him rage. Every time he gets 100 rage, he puts out a mark. That's that. Okay, anything else? All right, great. Pretty easy fight. Just smoke him, tank and spank. As soon as the ads spawn, blow them up really quickly. Make sure we're healing the shit out of the people with the mark of the fallen champion, whatever it is. And tanks, make sure we're using cooldowns below 30%. All right, good. What is this? Rot face? Yeah, rot face. All right. Rot face. This one's pretty easy as well. I have the raid split up into 4 different sectors. Each one of these sectors, there's going to be ooze that comes out of the walls. And say ooze comes out on sector 3. You guys are just going to kind of move into melee range. And then when the ooze subsides, you guys are going to move back to where you were. Okay? He does throw... This guy does the vile gas, right? This isn't the malleable goo guy, I don't think, right? Or is it?
It's vile gas.
Okay. This guy does the vile gas, which means you want to be spread out in your sector so that you aren't. That's the puke stuff, right? That like stuns you and.
The conflag, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to be spread out so it's only hitting like one person, shit like that. This one's pretty easy. It's just the boss itself is basically a tank and spank, other than the ooze hitting the sides of the room, like I mentioned. The only other mechanic is really the passing off of the little oozes, and I'll show you kind of how that goes real quick. Tank 2, either tank can do this, whichever you guys prefer in the raids. One tank is going to tank and spank the boss in the middle, and the other tank, Prop Paladin, I think does well because they can cleanse, is going to be in charge of these. So the first debuff that goes out right there, Fauna got it in this case. It looks like a little green face. It's a 75% healing debuff, and it's a damage over time dot. So you can pretty much just cleanse it right away. It's going to spawn one of these little oozes. This little ooze is basically like glued to whoever you cleansed. You can't taunt it. You can't build enough threat to peel them. They just own it until you can get another little ooze out. And it takes a little bit of time. It takes like 10 seconds or whatever. Someone else right there, Aluska, got hit with infection. So we can go ahead and cleanse him. And now we have 2 little ooze, right? We have to bring the 2 little ooze together to make a big ooze, which will happen here. Boom. All right, so as soon as they come together, they'll despawn and make the big ooze. And you can do something about this guy. He's tauntable. You can build threat on him, all that stuff. Hit him a few times and then start moving. He does hit pretty hard, so you don't want to face tank him. In this case, Army of the Dead was up, so they're hanging out in melee a little bit. It's not a big deal. He does do like a pulse AoE damage to nearby targets, but it's not anything the healers can't handle. But we need to be looking for other people because there's another little ooze that just spawned on Nexus here. So he's going to walk that over and pass it off to the big ooze. And we'll notice that the big ooze gets another stack. So this big ooze has got a 2 stack now. When it gets to 5, it will explode. Whichever tank is doing this, you kind of need to let the raid know, hey, next one, next stack it gets, this thing is going to explode. But you're not bringing it to the paladin, you're bringing it to the big ooze. That's how they come together and connect. I think in this, yeah, so it passed off for a 3 stack. And I think what happens here, these 2 come together and make 2 big oozes. But you can bring the 2 big oozes together, I think, and it will add stacks together. I think that's what ends up happening here. So we have 2 big oozes, one's a 3 stack and one's a 1 stack. And I think I'm able to bring, this is not normal. You shouldn't have 2 big oozes up. You should just have 1 big ooze. All right, so it combines and now it starts casting this explosion. This explosion is quite a bit of bait. Like, it takes a long time for this to actually happen. So once that happens and you see these things shoot up, that has a travel time, and that's when you want to move. It's going to shoot at where you were. So if you move, then you won't get hit with it.
And just make sure you don't move to where someone else was standing. Like, look where you're going before it goes off to you.
Yeah, if you're going to have any deaths, though, it's going to happen here. Make sure we desack it. Hopefully people can survive if they do get hit. And then it's rinse and repeat. Bring the 2 little ooze together, make a big ooze. And this just kind of keeps speeding up a little bit throughout the fight. Okay, the little ooze are going to start coming faster now. You should kill them about the time that you're doing like the 3rd big ooze. Is this thing going to explode? All right, it's exploding. Let's see what happened in this explosion. We lost the ret. We lost Pentax. It hits really hard. You want to try to not get hit with it. There's not a whole lot of warning on where it's going to hit either. Okay. That's pretty much the fight, though. It can get a little nasty towards the end. Just make sure we're picking up the oozes. We're still making the big ooze, and finish off the boss. And it's not that bad. Any questions about this fight?
Yeah, 2 quick questions. Is there a reason to dispel immediately or save the dispel? Like, or either one of those preferred, or does it really just not matter?
So the little ooze doesn't melee like super hard. And while you have that disease on you, it's a 75% mortal strike, which means it's very hard for us to heal you. So you're taking damage over time, and you can only get 25% possible healing. So I think it's easier to just cleanse the person and let them walk the ooze, let it melee them a few times and just walk it over and combine it. If they're full health and you want to delay cleansing a little bit, that's fine. Whatever. Make sure we got nature resist totem in the middle of the room, and just all the totems need to be in the middle of the room. Yeah. What else we got? Any other questions?
Yeah, this last question. This is probably unrelated, but or irrelevant, I guess, since the fight's like pretty simple. But could you? It looked like you had an ooze at 4 stacks and a big ooze at 1 stack, which is technically like 6 total oozes. Could you actually just stack up a bunch of big oozes and then combine them, and then you just reduce the number of explosions, or is that just kind of irrelevant to the
I
strategy?
didn't test it, but yeah, you're saying if you had one with 3 and another one with 4, and it's just you combine them, and that's 7 stacks that just did 1 explosion rather than 5. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't test that. What I can tell you that usually by the time the 3rd ooze explosion is happening, doing it the normal way, that the boss should be close to dying. But that infection continually goes out faster and faster throughout the fight, and eventually, there's going to be a lot of ooze out in the room, and it's going to start to become a problem. Okay, anything else? All right, cool. All right, Fester Gut, this is the other A-bomb guy. This one's a little bit harder, and this fight basically just swaps between really heavy raid damage and really heavy tank damage. So to start the fight off, you're going to see a lot of orange stuff covering the floor. And this is where the heavy raid damage is going to come from. This orange stuff that you're standing in, it's unavoidable. It's going to be a lot of shadow damage, gaseous blight. Now, positioning is really important on this fight. Everyone's got a specific position to be in, and the melee will rotate just like they do on Algalon from one position to another. About every 10 seconds, he throws malleable goo. Dr. Putricide will throw it into the room. So that will be, hard to see where it's going to land and stuff because the ground is covered for some of the fight. But the melee are going to move just like they do on Algalon for Cosmic Smash every single time malleable goo goes out. So the tanks are going to stack on top of one another, and then the melee will be stacked on a dime and go back and forth from point A to point B and so forth. The other 2 positions are the H1 through 5. Those are healer positions. H1 and H2 are the Holy Paladins. They are anchor positions, and they don't move. During this fight, there's going to be spores spawn on people, as you'll see in just a second. Bam. There's one here, and then there's one here on the back left. And it looks like, do we have 2 in melee? I don't see the 3rd one. Okay, the 3rd one was over here off the screen. Basically, he's going to spawn these spores on random players, and we need to kind of coordinate a spore to be on each one of these positions. One for melee, one on top of H2, and one on top of H1. And you guys will collapse onto whatever marker you're assigned here. So R1 through 5, you guys are going to circle, which is H2. And then, R6 through R10, you guys are going to star, which is H1. Those Holy Paladins don't move. You guys go to them. But, if 2 spores, we just have to communicate. If 2 spores come into melee, you got to say, okay, I'll be the guy. I'm going to run it out to H1 since they don't have a spore. The spore is going to put a dot on you, and it's going to make you take less shadow damage for like a minute. And it's really important that you get all 3 stacks, okay, because he's going to do an AoE shadow damage nuke at the end of 3 of them. And if you don't have 3 stacks, you're probably going to die. You can ice block it, I'm sure the mages are probably going to do that, or we can divine shield it or disperse it, and with that means we don't have to move for the spore, okay, and we can continue to DPS. So we'll have some some small optimizations like that we'll do later on. But for the for Prague, just make sure that you're getting the spore buff. Every so often he's going to inhale. And as I was saying, this fight goes from heavy raid damage, which is the phase that we're in right now, to heavy tank damage. So when he does an inhale, the amount of gas in the room is going to be reduced. You can see like the room got a little, it brightened up a little bit. But he gets a buff that gives him 30% melee damage and attack speed. 30% attack speed, 30% damage per stack. So the raid's going to start to take less damage here, but the tanks are going to start to take more damage. Okay, but you can see when that spore goes off, we have some DSAC. We have this purple debuff. That's the shadow damage from the spore. We have a first and fourth spore, so it'll be in this case Lud doing an AM shadow and a DSAC when that spore debuff gets put on the raid. The second one will be the ret, and the gastric explosion will go to HPAL 2. But with a 1 stack, we should be able to heal the tank without any cooldowns. Should not be a problem. When he gets to having a 2 stack, this is another inhale, so he'll get another stack. This is where, okay, the tank could die, with no cooldowns up. So we need to start thinking about using cooldowns here. I have the tank 2 going first so that the prop paladin can do D-sack without canceling and a single target sack for this tank. But when it gets a 3 stack, that's when it's really going to start to slap. The tank can only take 9 stacks. If the tank takes a 10th stack of this debuff, then you explode and kill the raid. But when he gets a 3rd stack, there's basically no damage going out on the raid now, and he's just going to slap the shit out of the tank. So we need constant cooldowns on the tank, shield wall, paints up, shit like that. When he's done slapping you, he's going to do the pungent blot, which is that 50,000 whatever shadow damage and nuke AoE that I was talking about. This is the reason that you want to take the spores, right? If you don't have the spores, like Jordy has a 1 stack here, Bora has a 2 stack. I can't see because I got to disable some of the shit on my raid frames, but most of the people that have a 3 stack, I think, survive. But yeah, you guys get my point. If you miss the spore and you don't get the spore buff, then this nuke that goes out, it can smoke you. And that's the fight. It just repeats over and over again. The thing I will say is that usually before he does a second, let's see how close it was to the next pungent blot. He did do another one. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe for a week or two he'll get a second pungent blot off. So it's after he does the first one, it's probably a good idea to still soak the spores and do the mechanics. But very quickly you can see like we're gonna beat that check. There's just after the first time he does that, we won't need to do the spore mechanic anymore. Anyways, that's the fight. Any questions about this one?
No,
Melee, make sure
just a
you're
quick
dodging
point.
the malleable goo. Range, make sure you're dodging the malleable goo. Stay spread out, and collapse when you need to for the spore buff.
Yeah, just a quick point on the spore. It's got a pretty big range, so don't be obsessed with trying to pencil stack on the person who has the spore, because like you said, like you still want to min-max your damage as much as you can. You don't want to overmove if you don't have to. So having a range check, weak aura or add-on or whatever will definitely help. As soon as you get the person with the spore in your little box that shows your range, then you're good to stop moving.
Yeah. If you notice that you missed a spore stack, maybe like Nightmare Seed or something when the pungent blot's coming, I don't know, you're use some kind of defensive Barkskin, AMS.
You also don't get the stack immediately after the spore explodes. It takes a few seconds, so as soon as that spore explodes, you're safe to move, and you want to move so you don't vial gas each other. And same thing for melee too. It's like if you have one in melee, be like up in the boss's model so the tank gets hit.
Yeah, if you get that purple damage over time debuff, then you should be good. Yeah, did you just say the spore? Like be close to the tank?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get the melee spore, you need to give the tank a little love too. Yep. All right, that's enough on Festergut.
If you're very range heavy and you're out of range of healers, as a range DPS, you can stack on melee too. For vial gas, you can skip the vial gas mechanic.
Well, this one's malleable goo, right? Festergut's malleable goo.
Move. Well, you'd have to move for the goo, but you wouldn't puke on each other, right?
Vial gas is still Festergut too.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to be moving with the melee ever so often. I don't know if that's better than just being out.
If you're out of range of healers, if you're very range heavy, it can happen.
Okay. All right, good to know. Anything else?
Yeah, is there a limit to the number of people that can get the buff from the spore?
There is.
It's like 5, right? Am I
Yeah,
crazy?
I think it has to
Maybe
be more
more.
than 5, but I know
I
in
think it's like 8.
yeah, I think it's 8, but 10 man it's 5. Or maybe less, because we actually got
Well, if you only get
where
3
some
and
people weren't getting
that's
it.
25 man, it's got to be 8 or 9.
You only get 2 in 10 men though, I think.
No, it's 3 or 4.
All right. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Good old putricide. All right. So the main slime is going to go right here. That means the A-bomb guy, there's one of these that you're just going to leave there and not, like, you're just not going to drink all of it. You're going to let it get full size. There's a cap on the size that the slime can get. That's why we stack against the wall and bait one there. Groups 3, 4, 5 are going to kind of be out here towards the middle in between the main slime and the bench. And somebody's mic's open. You're going to tank the boss primarily right next to the slime so that the A-bomb can both drink and DPS the boss at the same time. But yeah, everybody's going to stack underneath this. It's like a jar of ooze. Can I back it up more and you can kind of see where I'm talking about? Right here, this jar of ooze right there. Everybody should be stacked against the wall. It's okay for you guys to cheat up and precast. That's fine. But just whenever this slime is supposed to go, you need to be touching the wall back there. That's how the pull's going to go. Bring him on back. Bait the first set of slime. Right there it is. There's the slime puddles. We're going to move out of them. A-bomb can do his thing. The Unbound Plague, we're using the free-for-all strategy. Just get it out. Don't have it longer than 10 seconds and then pass it to another player. Keep it the fuck away from melee. Every time you see him go to cast Unstable Experiment, that means he's spawning an ooze. It's really important that you guys that you guys blow up the ooze. Do not tunnel the boss while it oozes out. You need to be really slapping the shit out of it. Melee, it's very important that we stack and share this damage that comes from the explosion. And try to always be on the bench side of the explosion. So I mean, if this is north, try to always be on the north side of the ooze whenever it connects with its target. You should be meeting this. It is really good if you can meet this first check, which is get him to 80% before he completes spawning an orange one. It might take a little time to get there, but it should be fairly easy to meet that check. All right, as soon as he hits 80%, the transition phase starts. Everyone in the raid is going to get a green or an orange debuff. Green means that you can attack the green ooze, and orange means that you can attack the orange. However, for whatever reason, for the first like 1.5 seconds when an ooze spawns, you can do full damage to it. So, for example, if I'm Bora right here, I can target the green ooze when it spawns right here, and get what were you guys doing, like agony corruption? I'm guessing.
Yeah. UA corruption.
Yeah,
There's time.
UA.
There's time to get both those off.
Yeah.
Okay, so UA corruption, for example, he can do that on the green, and then he can go back to DPSing orange. We want this green one to die really fast because it lowers the amount of, or it lowers our raid DPS. Who is that?
GG.
You can refresh it too with like rank 1 Shadow Bolt if you have like a free second.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's a good idea as well. But make sure you're getting knocked towards the bench side. What else do we have here? Yeah, it's really important that everybody gets those dots up. It'll help this die a lot faster as it spawns.
Hunters are also snake trapping that.
Yep,
Yeah.
snake trap. We want every
Also
single
send your
pet.
pet. Yeah.
Yeah, every single pet on the green one. It helps soak the damage. We had some random deaths somewhere. Sometimes because it's like we took way extra damage out of nowhere, and it's because the pets weren't on the target. Make sure you got the pets on the green one. Mages can blink. You get rooted. Whoever it targets gets rooted. We need to be watching for your DSAC here. So when we got knocked back here, I noticed that the next target was really close, and there weren't a whole lot of melee around, or I didn't know that we were going to be able to get back in time. So that's why I kind of fired off my DSAC here, is to help soak this explosion. So the prop paladin will go first, so you just kind of keep an eye out for that. Once the green is dead, all the green people, you're going to go into the boss. Orange people, you're going to keep hitting the orange, the orange thing. A-bomb person. I guess let me talk about the A-bomb just very quickly. So the first priority for A-bomb is to have enough ooze to be able to snare. You won't have enough to be able to snare the first green ooze that spawns in the fight, and you don't need to. It's just for that first transition, and thereon, have enough ooze, energy, whatever, to snare both ads, okay? And don't spam the key, because you can snare, you can use all your ooze on one target. That happens frequently. You just hit it one time, target the other one, hit it again. 50-yard range on that. But both, you always want to start with the snare on the green one and then do the orange one second. Priority number 2 for the A-bomb is whenever new slime spawns in the room, it will spawn underneath players. Go immediately out there and eat those ooze to eliminate them, so they don't get big, and because the bigger they get, the longer it takes to drink them. And then priority number 3 is doing damage to the boss. That's the A-bomb's job. Okay. You can melee and auto attack and drink ooze all at the same time with the A-bomb. Everything is on different GCDs. Coming out of that first transition, he does a malleable goo almost immediately. So ranged, we need to be watching out for that. The malleable goo hits on the 3rd bounce, right?
Yes.
Okay,
And
so when you
you
see,
can get hit by the damage, but not the debuff, and the damage is pretty impactful. So
right. I don't understand why it's not putting up the debuff, but I'm okay with that.
I think that's like direct hit, like might be like a proximity thing, but the splash is bigger than the debuff range, I guess.
Okay, so this malleable goo, you're going to see it spawn. It can almost one-shot you. It hits hard as fuck. There's bounce 1, bounce 2, bounce 3. Boom, it explodes, okay? So just whichever direction it's coming, it's kind of hard to see where it's actually going to impact, but you will see it kind of rainbow its way over, and on bounce number 3, that's when it's going to explode.
And my biggest tip for that is to turn off chat bubbles, because people are like, all the melee are screaming Malibu Goo, and they have these little say chat boxes, and you can't see where the Malibu are actually going.
Okay, the other thing that the tank and the melee need to watch out for is the choking gas bomb. So when you see that it has spawned, he's going to leave these little bombs on the floor. You see them there? It's like a vial. It's like an orange vial. They don't actually last very long. They're maybe there for 8-10 seconds, and then they despawn. But if you hit them, you're going to do no DPS for 20 seconds. It's a 100% miss rate for 20 seconds. The tanks, we do want to kind of bait those away from where we want to be. So, we got a choking gas bomb coming up in like 5 seconds here. I've left myself a little bit of room here, so he's going to drop them there, and then he drops them there, and then I move the boss into where the green is going to spawn, which is directly on top of us. But melee, just really try to not get hit with the choking gas bomb. It's literally 0 DPS for 20 seconds. I don't really have a good view of the orange ooze on this fight, but when the orange ooze spawns, all ranged DPS are going to prioritize damage into that orange ooze. and if you get targeted by it, you're just going to kite the ooze around. It is good to bring it by melee so they can pestilence, get a little cleave on it, but you need to be mindful of how much time is remaining before it acquires a new target. When it acquires a new target, if you have it on top of the melee, it could look at one of the melee and explode and go off and wipe the raid. If the orange ooze reaches its target, it basically is going to cause a wipe.
Yeah, it's like 20-second fixate or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you take damage as well while it chases you, so you need to make sure you don't range your healers. All right. Another thing here is it's very important not to screw up the transition here. He transitions at 35%. I think we call it stop DPS here, or are we trying to push?
We pushed quite a few of those. I'm not sure.
I think we went for a push here. Yeah. All right. So we didn't have much time there. We had maybe 5 seconds before he spawned another one, and this is the second transition phase. Once again, if you got green, you're going to be on green. If you have orange, like APEP or hell, the healers too, Nexus. I mean, you guys can throw up dots on this shit too. The DKs, like Ember, Pummel, Unlucky. I mean, as a DK, what are you guys doing? Just putting up, you're doing Icy Touch, Plague Strike right away, and then at least you're getting full damage on your dots?
Yeah,
I'm
then
guessing?
just follow it around.
Okay. But melee, you're just chasing this thing around so you can soak it. You're going to be doing shit damage to it if you're orange, but it is what it is. The most important thing is those first two globals, getting your dots up. Once it dies, then you can, if you're orange, these DKs are going to break off to, start hitting the gas cloud. The green people will transition onto the boss. I don't think I have a good point of view of what the warrior is going to do here, but the boss just activated. Why is he bopped?
This is not the most recent one.
This is not the most recent one?
Correct.
Let me find it real quick. It's back here somewhere, I think.
So basically, Baron and I were standing where the orange goose spawns, and as soon as it's active, I taunt, and before he gets into melee range, I shield wall.
Okay. Let me find it here. Okay, yeah, this is good. This is good. All right, this is phase 3 transition. As soon as he appears into a big guy, he's going to wait like 2 seconds and he's going to start chasing. Okay, the reason that we're drawing it out here is the first thing he does when he reaches his target is put that debuff on the target that makes you do damage to the raid. It's friendly fire. Things like Avenging Wrath will amplify it, so you need to be careful about that as a prop paladin. You need to use that before you start getting stacks. But the plan here is we need to survive about 10 of these debuffs. If anyone gets 4 stacks, it's a wipe. You start hitting the raid for 20,000 every 3 seconds. So we can't get anybody to 3 stacks. So stacks 1 and 2 are going to go to the DPS warrior. You're going to put your shield on, and then you're going, right as it is about to get to you, you're going to pop shield wall and taunt immediately. Shield wall taunt, boom, before it gets to the prop paladin. And shield wall's 12 seconds, and he does it every 10 seconds. So if you shield wall right before you taunt, your shield wall should last through the second one as well. And you're going to throw up shield block as well. So the first 2 are going on the Fury Warrior. All right, as soon as that second application happens, the prop paladin needs to taunt immediately. I have it right now. Why do I have it? He did a bop group taunt here, didn't he?
I think it
One of
missed.
the earlier pearls
Am I crazy?
Which? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry.
I'm not sure.
I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, so he has it. There's 1 stack. Boom. As soon as he gets that 2 stack, you need to taunt right away. There's only like a 1.5 second window there, leeway, maybe even 1 second. Okay, and you got pretty low. You took a fucking big hit there. Why was that hit so big? You took a hit with no shield wall up. That's what happened there, I think. Or is that shield block? I don't know what that is. You got fucking hit hard. Make sure the shield wall goes up right as you taunt. To give, because I taunted immediately. As soon as I saw the 2 stack, I taunted. You did somehow take a hit though. Anyways,
Yeah, I think
Um,
if this is a second pull, it was a little close. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, the Warriors are going to take the first 2 stacks. As you can see, where's it at? I'm sure it's in here somewhere where you're hitting me. It's not showing. Whatever. Yeah, right here. He's hitting the whole rate for 1,800 every 3 seconds. The next 2 stacks are going to go. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time. The next 2 stacks are going to be on the Warrior or on the Paladin, and then we're going to do. We got to be very careful with taunt DR here. Okay, taunt DR is 20 seconds, so I'm going to taunt at 11 seconds, and then I'm going to get a stack at 9 seconds in. I'm going to get a second stack at 19 seconds in, and then I got like a nice 5 to 7, 8 second window that to set up this bop group taunt for the Feral. Feral's going to get bopped, and you're going to group taunt it to soak number 5. Moonkin's going to come in, and that should be a that's going to be a damn Ret Paladin there. Ret Paladin's going to bop the Moonkin, and the Moonkin's going to do a group taunt, soak 1, and then after that, the tank 2 is going to taunt and tank 3 of them using cooldowns, and then I'll taunt and take my 3rd stack. And then when the 4th stack hit, it's game over. But we'll watch the rest of this. Same thing. Just make sure we're not moving more than we need to. I think the size of the green pools gets removed in this stage, so they get quite big. Which reduces some of the room that we have to move. You don't want to be in the path of where the tanks are going to go. The middle of the room is kind of okay, or behind the tanks is okay, but not in the path the tanks are going. We don't want to cut ourselves off. But when the gas bombs go, we need to move. Make sure we don't get hit with those. And just keep doing our thing. Fauna did a bop. We did a bop group taunt for Fauna here. Cassie's got 3 stacks, so I'm going to taunt Shield Wall. There's Malleable Goo. It just gets pretty rowdy in this last phase. People just start falling apart really quickly. If you're soaking one of these debuffs, you can't die or the boss heals, and it's really bad. Okay. Any questions about this? It's already 10:51. We gotta keep moving. But basically that's the way we're gonna move around the edge of the room as tanks. All right, great. Blood Prince Council. We're gonna be doing this one on normal mode, week 1, because it's a little bit of a time sink, but basically the Paladin's gonna be on the one in the middle, and tank 2 is gonna be on Tal'Darim on the right. We're gonna have the demo lock on the one on the left. What else we got here? Positioning. This is a positional fight, and don't let the orbs hit the ground. That's how this fight goes. SP. That's going to just be where the demo warlock is going to be tanking in the middle of the room. Make sure you're wearing your stam trinkets, all that stuff. The damage is not resistible when he does empowered, so you're not worried about shadow resistance. You're just worried about maximum health, switching into demon armor whenever he goes to do empowered stuff on you. But positioning is extremely important here. So R1 and R2 are going to stack with S5, and then that's going to go the whole way down. 3 and 4 with 4, 5 and 6 with 3, and you're going to stack with those positions. Whenever he goes to do a empowered shock vortex, everyone needs to spread out into those positions. You don't get a whole lot of time to do it. It should happen usually around the 90% range, but right there. So as soon as you see this empowered shock vortex, you need to get the fuck out immediately. You're going to explode and hit everyone around you, and you don't get a lot of time to get there. Once it happens, then everybody comes back in. Should only happen twice while... Who's clicking? Someone's clicking. Is that Clawthorn? Is he in here? Clawthorn, you copy and pasting, dude?
It's Kuzak.
Kuzak, you're copy and pasting or something? You keep clicking in and out. Okay, so there should only be 2 of those. Thereafter, Prop Paladin, you just need to call anytime you see the normal shock vortex being cast. You need to call that it got cast and look and try to help the raid identify where it is. I saw it there for a second. It right there. It was. It was over against the wall. But he does one of those every, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. He'll put out a new one. You need to just call, hey, where it went out. Where did it go? Right there. You can't see it that well. It's very hard to see, but that's it right there at the top of the screen. That little swirly thing. And then it explodes and knocks people around once it goes off. You're very penalized for moving on this fight, so make sure you're not moving. Prop Paladins, make sure we're not using Hammer of the Righteous or Shield Toss or Seal of Command. All these things are bad and will steal the Dark Nucleus off of the Warlock tank. So yeah, Keleseth is easy mode. He just sits there and nukes the tank. We heal him. So you can heroism on him or you can heroism on the pull. I think it's pretty close to being the same, however you guys want to do it. The third one's a little trickier. Tal'Darim, he's going to summon Empowered Flame, conjure Empowered Flame Orb. That's going to, the more targets that this passes through, the weaker that it gets. But it's going to go towards a target. The melee need to be in the path of it to eat as many charges of it as we can. What happened to this one? It just sat there? There it goes. All right, it's finally moving towards a target. The person ran away with it, and it hit him. Okay, we did a good job soaking it, so it didn't actually do much. Okay, did he just do another one? All right, so he's doing another one. This one looks more, I don't know what happened to that first one. It took forever. But he's going to let it go. We just need to soak it. Whoever's got it needs to move with it. Okay, so that guy fucked up there. X needed to get the fuck out so that it didn't hit him around the raid. But see what happens to the raid's health right here? Boom. Whenever he got hit next to the raid, it almost caused a wipe there. So if you need to run directly away from the raid with the orb so that it passes through them and it gets weaker. Otherwise, it'll one-shot you when it reaches you out here. Any questions about any of those? It just goes back and forth. It is tricky whenever it goes back to Valinor out here. I think he does it here. He can go straight into Empowered Shock Vortex, and you guys' positions are all fucked up. So we don't get a lot of time to respond to this. Once we know it's going to be Valinor next, which it's going to be once it cycles through the other two, we need to be prepared for that Empowered Shock Vortex. Whenever you get knocked out and away, your instinct is going to be to move back to get your position right away, but sometimes this can get you killed. Every time you move, you take damage. So, sometimes the best thing for you to do when you get knocked away is to stand still until you get healed, or at least pop a cooldown and try to move back to your position. That's pretty much it, though. Is don't let the orbs hit the ground. There's pet assignments for that, and just respect your positions and know them, and don't fuck one another over on the positions. It's really important. A very big positional fight. Not a DPS check. The tanks aren't in danger of dying as long as the demo lock's got plenty of orbs on them. It's a very easy fight. One thing about the orbs is they go to the last target that hit them. So if for some reason you hit orb, or if I'm a prop paladin, I go over there and hammer a righteous and steal a bunch of orbs from the demo lock, then I can get him killed real quick. So we don't want that to happen. All right. What else we got? Anything else about this fight? Anything you guys want to talk about? Right stage would be like the right half of the stage. Left is the left. Ranged left would be like R10 down here. That's the hunter. That's like this area. Ranged center. The warlock's taking care of the middle, and then ranged right up in here.
Yeah, I would just say this is a clear comms fight. Let people who have vital roles on this fight try and communicate.
Yeah, just
They
make
can
sure
get
you're
hectic.
definitely. Make sure you're the people that are in charge of controlling the orbs, that you guys need to communicate. If an orb hits the ground, it won't always cause a wipe, but certainly during progress, it'll almost certainly cause a wipe. Okay. Moving on. Got to keep going. Blood Queen. Another fight where there are individual positioning assignments. Make sure you check this out and figure out where you're supposed to be. These positions are for the air phase. You need to be pretty close to these just in phase 1 when she's down on the ground, though. But those positions, you really need to be there whenever she flies up in the air. She does a blood bolt thing that hits you and everybody around you. So if 2 players are stacked, you're going to take, you can take 200% damage. Really easy to tank this fight. Just pick her up and put her at the top of the steps here. Just make sure she's not moving around a lot. Whoever gets picked first, the weak aura will be running Foji's weak aura. The raid lead, whoever, is going to have to paste the shit into that weak aura, and it'll set up the order. It picks people for you to bot next based on their proximity to you. So the order may change. Just whoever it tells you to bot that person. If your add-ons are fucking up where your bar isn't working, then you can do a /use or a /cast vampiric bot, I think is the name of the spell, and put that on a bar that isn't going to fuck up and use that. Or hell, you could just copy paste it. If you have no bars at all and it just completely fucked you over like a vehicle bar, you can just enter /cast vampiric bot and just hit enter and bot that will work.
I did that and it didn't work when I copy pasted it.
Thanks, LaDon. JK. All right. Okay, it may or may not work. Give it a shot. There's static shadow damage that's going on throughout the fight, kind of like back in TBC, the Fatal Attraction thing that Mother Shiraz did. She does the same thing, except it's come together instead of spread apart. So she's going to pick 3 people about right now. This Idiot Box Chaos Unlucky. They come together in this middle area that I have marked red right here. This is where you guys meet up. Okay. Once the debuff is gone, you guys can go back to your positions. It's really tank and spank. You just got to make sure you're doing the bots. If you don't bot somebody in time, the first bot's really important that you delay until the very end of it. You get what, 10, 12 seconds to bot somebody?
Yeah, 10 seconds, I think.
You get 10 seconds to bot somebody, so around 8 to 9 seconds, basically 1 to 2 seconds before you get mind controlled. That's when you need to bot somebody on the first person only. Thereafter, you can do it immediately. That's right, correct, guys?
Yep.
Okay. The reason is that delays, that makes it where we don't need to be doing any botting during the flight phase. But flight phase, okay, she's going to take off. She's going to start running into the middle of the room. You guys are going to immediately break off and go to your positions. Don't chase her. She's going to fear. So make sure we're doing like trinket on the first one. We're doing there's fear ward master spell assignments as well. As you can see, there's travel time on these bolts, and it takes a second. Like wait till all the bolts have actually they've done damage before you try to run in, because some people will try to run in early. You'll get people killed. The first air phase isn't too bad, but as you can see, she's getting a stacking buff, and that shadow damage she's doing ramps up throughout the fight. Also, she does fire like Jiraxis does. Make sure you try to keep that on the outside of the room. Here's the second one. It's good. I like to bubble this one and help cleanse. This one's pretty spicy. We'll do like a Divine Hymn and some other cooldowns. I have the Holy Paladins assigned to do a DSAC and an AM Shadow, and they're going to be moving to the center of the room to do that. Whenever she goes up in the air, you're going to chase her into the air, and then you're going to have the center of the room so that we can get as much coverage on that as we can get. So the second time she comes down, like when she lands, This is really a pretty big spot point where there's a lot of raid damage going out. This first Dark Fallen does a shit ton of damage. We'll just be rotating AM Shadow and D-Sax for all this damage. And this fight is a bit of a DPS check, but as long as nobody dies, especially somebody that has a vampire buff, then it's really not that bad. It's when you start losing people that the DPS check becomes a problem. Or people start getting mind controlled and going around and one-shotting healers. Most of the mind controls that we had ended up being like UI related though. Just make sure you guys got the weak aura and that you know how to use it, and the raid leads. Make sure we paste the name in there and all that stuff's good. Whoever it tells you to buy it, that's who you're going to buy it. But we were 10 seconds to enrage here. We had about 5-second buffer there, and that's with Ember getting mind controlled. So it's pretty tight, We're gonna have to have a lot of DPS on this boss. It's pretty simple though. Any questions about this boss?
Are there, not specific to this boss, I guess, but are there any fights that we're going to be using resist bots on, or resist flask rather?
Yeah, resist flask is gonna be for Death Whisper. Cindergosa, probably just Death Whisper and Cindergosa. Yeah, I think probably just those two.
For Priest on Blood Queen, if you Fear Ward yourself right at the start, you'll have Fear Ward for the second Fear as well, so you can MD twice.
Yep, I have the Disc Priest, MD ranged Fear, and I got the Shadow Priest on the melee. All right, what else we got here? Let's see. Moving on, Valithria. This one's really easy. The bottleneck for this fight is going to be your healers learning how to heal this fight and not letting their stacks drop. As soon as they figure that out, this fight's pretty fast, pretty easy. The raid's going to be kind of divided into two here. This is the entrance where we were standing. So the left side from the entrance position, we're going to have like group 1 and group 3 over here, and group 2 and group 4 are going to be kind of on the right. There's only going to be one raid healer, which is going to be the Disc Priest, going into this fight for the raid. So it's really important that you don't take damage. The ranged are going to be kind of in the middle and are going to float from left to right side as needed. And then the hunters, you guys are picking up the zombies. One hunter can do it, but if there's two hunters, you guys can each pick a side and help out with that. Do frost trap, shit like that. But one hunter can pull it off by himself. Anyways, you're just kiting the zombie around and making sure that you're trying to make sure that the zombie dies away from the raid. It explodes and does a lot of damage when it dies. The kill priority is skeletons. If they don't, once they've been out for a little bit, they start doing an AoE channel that hits the entire room that does a lot of fire damage. Suppressors, they just kind of walk out towards. Well, I guess I'll go off as they're shown here. So the A-bomb does a cone attack. You want to face them into this little segment of the wall, and then the suppressors, they don't need to be tanked or anything. They don't even melee. They just go try to hurt the boss. They need to be hit with snares and stuff. I think I'll do a shield toss here to try to slow them down. Shield toss is really good for those. Roots are good too. But we don't want them touching the boss. When the A-bomb dies, shortly after he dies, these little maggots are going to pop out of him. It's pretty hard to hold aggro on those. Just they just need to get AoE down. Nova, Cone of Cold, shit like that. What else we got? That's pretty much it. This is the same thing over and over again for the DPS. You see a skeleton, it needs to get burned down right away, or it's going to start channeling this lay waste thing, and it hits the entire room. I think we might get one tick there. It's like 20% of the entire raid's HP per tick, so it's pretty nasty. There's a zombie getting picked up. What else do we got? Well, I guess let's talk about the healers a little bit. I don't have any footage of the healers, but talk to Nexus, talk to Jordy, Jason, all them guys, Pentax. They'll let you know what's up on how to do the healing. But basically, there's going to be 4 healing positions, and then healer 5 is going to roam. You can just take whatever portal you want. I think once you take the portal and you get on the other side, I think the first thing you want to do is pick up one of the little portal buff things to refresh your stack that gives you more healing done. And then from that point, you guys want to meet up in a certain position and go around and pick up the rest of the orbs together as a team. That way, we're achieving both things. We're making sure that your stack doesn't drop, and we're also eventually grouping up so that we can, whenever somebody hits an orb, it hits everybody in like 10 yards. All right, anything else about this fight? As the fight goes on, the ads start to spawn faster. So, there's a little bit of a time limit. We'll be heroism late. The heroism is actually used for the healers. Whenever they get pretty late and they think they can finish it off, they'll come out, pop heroism, and just heal the shit out of them. Hunters. Do we need, is Nexus in here or anybody? Do we need to use the bear thing for the hunters? Does that help at all?
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay.
At least something that'll be static at full HP near the boss.
Yeah, I think it's gonna help too.
Okay, hunters, make sure we get like a fucking rhino or a bear, any of those pets that have the 40% healing buff. Make sure we get one of those and have it stabled. You don't even need to level it up, right? It can be like a 76. All it needs to be able to do is get that talent that allows it to take more healing. It's like 40% more healing. Any questions?
I don't know if you said this at the start, but I just see people running around the boss. You can literally stand like in and under the boss. There's no mechanics. Like you're not going to get hurt by that for ranged players or anyone.
Correct. That's why I didn't put the boss in the mock-up here. Just move, to and from through the center as arranged, and just help whichever side needs help.
Can you speak on the rhino pet thing? What exactly is that for? Like, I understand that they have a talent, but how does that play into the fight itself?
It's just for the healers. They heal the rhino, which takes 40% more healing.
Okay.
And
They beacon the boss and heal the
yeah,
rhino.
and then that makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you for explaining.
Yep. Okay. Anything else about Dreamwalker? All right. Good. All right. Sandergosa. This is a long fight, guys. This is like a 10-minute fight. This is another one of those where the learning phase that you really need to learn is kind of deep into the fight, the 35% range. And it takes a long time to get there. So this fight can really eat up a lot of our time if we aren't careful. Melee, there's 2 different things we got to battle with here. The melee, when you hit her, you're going to get this stacking dot that makes you take damage over time. You need to kind of stop. You don't really going to go above like 4 or 5 stacks here during the phase 1 up to the 35% mark. And then the casters, you guys are really going to hate this fucking fight. When you guys get this debuff, what is it? Something Unchained Magic, whatever. Healers as well. You need to stop healing at all. If you get the debuff, you need to, whenever it fades, you're going to Arcane Explosion nuke everybody around you for how many ever stacks that you cast. So there'll be some learning curve on how to manage that. You're just not going to cast. You're just going to sit there and eat it. No one's gonna like this fight really. This fight's a shit fight, and it's really shitty mechanics. So, okay, tanks. I went over this last night. Just put her somewhere in the center, facing this way. Blistering cold. She's gonna suck people in. Make sure you get all the way out. It goes off. You can come back in and do your positions and stuff. I think we had a threat issue there or something. She's going to take off. We're going to be using the Foji Wikara here. 6 people are going to get marked, and they're going to be 3 different stacks. So you see the little blue markers on them? The Wikara is going to tell the people whether to go middle, left, or right. They're going to stack up just like that, about 3 steps up. Okay? Don't be down here on the fucking bottom. Be like 3 steps up. if one of you get hit that doesn't have this marker, that's your fucking fault unless somebody was just sitting in the middle of the raid. Get the fuck away from the people with the markers, okay? Whenever those go off, there's going to be a DSAC and an R mastery rotation. The HPALs will be covering that. So before that lands, they need to get a DSAC and a AM Frost. And we also need to, healers, you guys are putting like power word shields and hots on them, right? As long as you don't have the Unchained Magic.
Yes.
Okay.
And you should have enough time to hot them all before they get tuned.
Right. So we'll see that they get hit hard here, like Ember, Worst Try, Idiot Box. They get hit hard, but the hots and stuff like top them back off.
Just a small thing you can do also is when there's like a window, you can basically batch a heal on top of someone that gets the ice block. If you throw an instant heal as an ice block lands, the damage will go out, but you can still heal them for a second. So if someone is low, you can save them that way.
Holy Shocks or like Palm or something. I don't know. Something like that. Okay. All right. So once the blocks go out, we're going to be looking for that right there. This little swirly thing right there. Okay. That's where the frost bomb is coming. Okay. Somebody in the raid needs to call where to be. In this case, I'm going to call, okay, be left. That means be on the left side of the block to avoid the frost bomb that's going to be on the right. Okay. There's going to be 4 of them. There's number 2. So this is going to be like be middle or slightly left. This one's going to be middle. So just be behind the center of your block. And then this one's going to be, okay, we need to be slightly right. Slightly right or middle will be fine to eat that one. The instant that goes off, we need to sapper AoE these blocks down. Finish them off, okay? Don't be, like, we're going to be using AoE to damage the blocks, okay? So it's okay to AoE. Don't be, just be a fucking team player on these goddamn blocks, okay? Hit the ones that are high, get them to like, 15% or something, and then stop hitting them. Don't be greedy, okay? Don't be fucking greedy on these blocks. Okay, hopefully they, pull. What Warcraft logs do? Did they pull the damage on these fucking blocks, or did they leave it?
They did.
Yeah, they pulled it.
Thank fucking God. Bless them. Okay. All right. So don't pad. Do a good job on the blocks. We're trying to get them low, but not kill them. If you kill a block early, then you're getting the person in the block killed and possibly the people behind it. Just get them low, and then this is every minute that we do this. So you're going to have either Sapper or Serenite Bomb, whatever. As soon as that 4th bomb goes off, that's 3rd. This one right here, you're just going to Sapper and finish it up. Boom. Sapper. Jeremy got hit here. He was hanging out to the side or something. And that's that. Rinse and repeat over and over and over again. We're going to be using Curse of Weakness here. Some of you Affliction Warlocks are going to need a spec improved weakness, at least for a couple weeks or something, because we just don't have reliable methods to get the improved attack power debuff up there. And Curse of Weakness is the best way to do that. So we're going to have to eat that 500 raid DPS loss.
And refresh it when she goes up, because the scariest part is when she lands.
Yeah. Okay. There's the suck, go back out, all that stuff. The prop paladin's going to tank all the way up into the end. All right. She's going to come back down around 47%, something like that. And when she hits 35, well, around this part, around 38, this is where we need to be looking at resetting our debuffs as melee, stuff like that. The fight changes below 35%. She starts putting a stacking dot on us. Okay, so we phased. You're going to see the raids start getting a pink looking debuff on them. Why does he have? Never mind. There it is. So this pink looking debuff, every stack of this is 20% more magic damage taken. Okay, so and she's going to start putting the frost beacon thing is going to start happening down on the ground too. See, do you see the blue icon here? He runs out to the left. And he's going to drop the block right there. And then we can use that block to line of sight this damage taken debuff. So as soon as that first block comes down, we need to be firing off like AM Frost and get behind that, and so we can survive this raid damage. The raid damage gets really severe below 30%. It's on you to survive. The more, as a melee, the more I attack the boss, the more stacks of this fucking dot I'm going to get. And the more I'm in line of sight, the more damage I'm going to take because the shit's stacking up on me. So if you're dying, a lot of the time, it's your own fault. You killed yourself, okay? But as for positioning here, there's the air phase positioning, group 1, group 2, 3, and 4 in the center. This is like phase 3. So block 1's going to go up here on the left next to the tank. Block 2 is going to go down to the right. Don't be standing in these areas unless there's a reason for you to be there, meaning you got targeted by the frost beacon, okay? Otherwise, you're stacked in the middle, tight as fuck, away from those areas, or you'll get cleaved and you'll get blocked too. This first block needs to die. We don't need it to die immediately. It died a little fast there, to be honest. We could have waited a little bit, but the deadline for this first block to die is before block number 3 gets picked. So about right now, that block needed to die, needs to be dead at this point. Lucky just got picked for block number 3. He's bringing it over. He's going to drop it right where that one was. Cool. And now the other block can die. Okay, there's the suck. The block does not protect you from the AoE suck. Okay. The first tank swap is going to happen when this first suck happens. The tank's going to get sucked in, and they're going to come right out here where the tank was. They can taunt immediately. And this tank, like me, I'm going to go reset my stacks. Right there. My stacks are gone. I'm able to tank again if I need. We're going to wait. I'm not just going to go back out there, though. I got Sack running on her, and she's still got Bark Skin up, so I'm going to let that do its thing before I go back out there. It's not a DPS race in this last phase. It's just, don't let your stacks get crazy. Make sure you're resetting your stacks as frequently as you can. And, melee, don't let your stacks get too high. I think the rule we came up with is 2 and 2. So 2 stacks of your melee debuff and 2 stacks of the purple debuff that makes you take 20% more damage per stack. You get 2 stacks, you need to go reset. And I think there's also some min-maxing for the casters sitting behind the block to be doing like you can like peek and dot, right, to miss a stack. I'm sure you guys are doing that shit, right?
It refreshes at 3 seconds of your debuff.
Okay. So yeah, so that leaves you like 4 seconds to get something done, right? Before the new application goes out.
Yep.
Okay, so that's some little min-max stuff that we'll be doing. Obviously, the better we get at the fight. But that's pretty much it. We're gonna be running running a lot of fucking healers for this fight. So I have the Balance Druid and the Shadow Priest going healer for this fight. Plus these 5 make 7 healers. And the reason that we need those 7 healers is a lot of times there's 3 of our healers that have that Unchained Magic debuff where they just can't cast. So in those situations, that means we just, even though we're running 7 healers, it's actually like we only have 4. So it's just really important to not take damage on this fight. We're going to be running Resist Flask. Make sure that you're, it might not even be a bad idea to wear like 1 piece of Frost Resist gear for this fight, or at least like a Cloak enchant or a Head enchant, shit like that. If you're leatherworking, wear a Bracer enchant, or just wear like crafted Frost Resist ring. I think that's probably
I think the ring is the play. It's only like 300 gold too.
Yeah, get you a crafted Frost Resist ring. It could really help out. The damage that you take, the raid damage you take below 35% is just really, really high. But I think we ended up just barely making it here. Berserk. We were 8 healing this, I think. Jermund was trying to test something for us on this, but he was the wrong spec. But
he was like holy in right gear or something like that.
Yeah, we were running like 8 healers for this fight, but yeah, we beat the Enrage by like 8 or 9 seconds there. We had a lot of deaths. Fucking tough fight. This is definitely one of the tougher ones. The top 3, I think, in the instance. Any questions?
It's a longevity fight. You have like 4.5 minutes in the last phase to kill her from 35, so just survive and it'll die.
Yep.
Any questions on this one? For the first week, do you want me to make make it a requirement. Like everyone wear, you could do like just the ring and like boots and belt, boots or belt, I should say. You just do like those two items, and that's like an extra 170 frost resist, I think.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would go more than maybe a cloak enchant or a ring. I think that's as much as I would do. Resist flask and then wear a ring, and
Right
that should
now,
be enough.
yeah,
probably.
first 4 weeks, ring is like the smallest DPS loss, but like the biggest frost resist gain.
Yeah, I would just run the ring. You know, if you have one, cool. You know, think about getting one. It could help out.
Yeah,
We're
my
gonna
DK
skip
can make
her
one.
heroic mode week 1. You know, we'll just. It's a time issue. You know, we'll get to each of these heroics as quickly as we can. You know, we'll do our 8 hours a week, and you know, whenever we get there, we get there.
Well, we're gonna straight skip. We're not even gonna put attempts to try and get it down.
We will on Thursday, but the like this right here. So like X Sunday and this is week 1. X Sunday, Monday, Z M V. No 0 attempts on heroic Cindergosa. There's not going to be time for it. I promise. There's not going to be time for it. All right. And then the last one. Okay, good old Lich King. We the best attempt. I think we got him to what 54, something like that. That was our best attempt. The biggest part of learning for this fight, I think, is the tank 2 in phase 1. Lot of shit going on for that tank. It can be done with 1 hunter, but 2 hunters makes it a hell of a lot easier. But yeah, this fight is rough. We're not going to be putting in attempts hard mode week 1, but like I said, we need to arrive here with at least 2 hours, I think, to be able to ensure a kill normal mode, because he's not a pushover in normal mode either. We're going to heroism on the pull. We're going to use the position. There's a bunch of mock-ups here, okay? Phase 1, like this is the steps that he walks down, okay? We're going to kite him around the left side of the room, moving only when we need to for shadow traps. Same thing for ranged, only move when you need to for shadow traps. We're going to drop off at least the first disease. We might change it and start adding the other ones, but at least the first disease needs to get dropped off, preferably to a ghoul, but it doesn't really matter. Just drop it off. And we need to start using cooldowns when the second shambler comes. For the hunters, you guys are tranking. So this says first and third shambler. So when there's 1 shambler up, you're getting him. And then when there's 2 shamblers up, if the third one comes around, then you're going to get him. The second hunter, you're getting the second shambler when there's 2 up. Otherwise, you're helping out with when there's just 1 shambler. I want you guys both doing it. It's good to have a little redundancy there. Let's see. I don't know. We'll just kind of look at this, and I'll kind of tell you what's going on. So we need the Infest weak aura, so you know which order you're going on. Every single Infest has to get hit with an AM Shadow or a DSAC. And every single Infest has to have powered shields on the entire raid. So Disc Priest, you got plenty to do here. This first set of ghouls, from the prot tank perspective, you want these to get DPS'd a little bit. So it's okay to cleave the fuck out of this first set of ghouls, but you do need to pick them up. As soon as this shambler comes out, we're going to be getting the disease pretty soon. So have your 3 ghouls and have your shambler over here. Jordy got the disease. He's going to walk it over. He's going to get cleansed. Okay, bam. We have it on the shambler. Ideally, it goes on the ghouls first, but if it goes to the shambler first, whatever. We got the disease. It's fine. We can work with that. Every time this disease jumps or kills a target, it gains 1 stack. Okay, and we want this disease to start. We want it to stack quickly. So every time it goes on a ghoul, once it gets like a 3 or 4 stack, it's going to start one-shotting ghouls. So that ghoul was like 40%, and it got one-shot by a 2 stack. And then it got one-shot by a 3 stack, and it's back on the, I wanted it to go to those other 2 ghouls, but whatever, it went to the horror. It's fine. So just keep collecting as many ghouls as you can, in my opinion, because we want it to be on the ghouls. you need this weak aura. Nekator can get it. I don't know if he posted in the tank channel, but you got to have this weak aura that shows the or Bora, either one, that shows whether it's going to enrage the shambling horrors or what. So here's the second shambling horror. This is when shit kind of gets a little hairy. These things melee really hard. Now you got two of them. Okay. So this weak aura is going to tell you whether it's going to die or whether it's going to enrage. And that's really important information that you need. So we got it easy this time. We got that first shambler dead, and we got our disease up to a 10 stack, so we're chilling right now. The things you got to watch out for is whenever the disease gets on a shambler and doesn't kill it. I guess I don't have a. I'll look for a different example of that. But your response to that is to hodge it, and then use shield wall and other things to try to survive, and hopefully the disease will get back on it and kill it. Or if it's extremely low, you can call for the warlocks to swap to it and kill it. So once that second shambler dies, you know, our priorities change a little bit where we're trying to keep this disease going and getting it on the third shambler. Once we get the disease on the third shambler, it's game over. Okay, boom. He's got the 20 stack. It's going to two-shot him. No problem. And then the last ghoul, you're just going to hodge it and run away, and the disease will fade. Or you can stand there and take it and then cleanse it. The transition positioning.
Can I say something, Baron?
Yeah.
For healers, especially holy pallies, it's gonna be crucial that you don't be moving around too much, like for shadow traps or if you get the disease, because the tank are gonna get fucking slapped, especially a lich tank one. They're basically gonna die if you don't heal in 1.8 seconds, so you gotta be casting like as much as you can. Try to not focus on mana as much and just keep the tank up, and that's gonna help a lot.
Yep. Yeah, to hit on some of those other phase 1 things, shadow traps. You know, there's going to be a little learning curve there. Make sure you move out of those. Moving the disease over and dropping it off, stuff like that. I think just moving over the first disease is fine, but like I said, we might change that where we're moving over other diseases as well. The transition phases are going to look the same. Group 3 is going to be on the left facing the center. Group 4 is going to be on the right. And the tanks and the melee are going to be in the center. It's really important that we stack the two Raging Spirits, but we have them facing different directions so we're not cleaving one another with the Soul Shriek. But we need to be using our second set of raid cooldowns here in this transition. Don't use them on Lich King. You're going to use them on the pull and Lich King, and then you're going to use them here. What else we got? I'll fast forward a little bit. Once this third one comes out, as soon as this phase transition gets to about 2 seconds, the tanks need to go ahead and move onto the main platform to get ahead of the raid. And now the raid can come onto the platform. You don't have to like move way the fuck up, okay? All you got to do is just, you can move where that portal is. You can move right here. All you got to do is just get off of the light colored area and you're fine. You're not going to fall off. You're not going to go anywhere. So don't try to sprint into the middle. Make sure those frozen orbs that spawn in the middle get killed. And then we can kind of walk our way into the middle. The tank that's tanking the Raging Spirits needs to lead the way to the center, and the tank that's got Lich King needs to follow. Everybody is still on the Raging Spirit, blowing smoking the fuck out of it, trying to get it, hopefully get it killed before the Valkyries come, but in this case they did not. Everybody's got their stun assignment. Okay, let's go check that out. So Valkyrie stuns. Prop Paladin's got 1. You'll need to have the Aura Mastery spec and the Hodge talent, and then the Rep Paladin's got Diamond, and Holy Paladin that has the improved Hodge will get Star. The Infernals are going to be reserved for the 3 times Valkyrie waves, like I'm about to show you, and the Valkyrie DPS. All the melee are going to hit the first one that hits the ground. The second one, the range you're going to get on that one, and the third one, we all collapse onto that one once 1 and 2 are dealt with. I realize warlocks, you guys are going to do whatever, and mages, you guys are going to optimize damage on all 3. But whenever you're funneling your damage, you need to funnel it into Valkyrie number 2. Okay. But let's see that again. Get him to the middle. We need to get stacked up quickly on triangle. If you're a warlock or a hunter, you're not going to stack. You're going to intentionally be out and away from the raid, so that we can identify that those are targets that we do not need to DPS. But right there, the first one that came down happened to be Star melee. You're going to get on that one, and it's going to get Hodge number 2 circle. That's mine. I hodged it, and now we're going to start cleaving the fuck out of them and moving Lich King along with them. This is as hard as it gets right here. This is all 3 Valkyries that did not get, it wasn't a Warlock or a Hunter on any of them. It gets pretty close, but we're able to free all 3 people here. We also used a couple Infernal stuns. Once you get them to 50%, they're done. Then it's moved back to the middle of the room. We got Infest that keeps coming, and we got Defile coming up as well. Tanks are swapping for Soul Reaper. Using a cooldown. You need to have a cooldown prior to Soul Reaper being applied. But the big thing is the Defile. He's going to target someone. That person needs to boot out immediately, and we need to separate ourselves from that person as well. But yeah, it went to the back. That's good. And then rinse and repeat. We're going to get another set of Valkyries here. Or we skipped one, right? So this set of Valkyries were all ranged. We got incredibly lucky here. They all went to Warlocks or Hunters. So we didn't have we skipped an entire Valkyrie phase here. Pretty cool stuff. Defile goes out. The Boonkin booted it out. That's great. And we get the Valkyries. Hodge. Okay, we only got 2 this time. So, melee and range, hit it up. What ends up whopping us here, I think, is this Infest. We weren't able to get people up or something. Or maybe it's the Defile, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's the Defile. Yeah. So Defile goes out. Defile, I was slow there. It looks like we were okay. All right, maybe it is this Infest that's coming, I think. One of these Infests gets us where we didn't have the raid prepped or something, I think. That's it, though. Any questions about this or comments?
Is this what was the AP reduction debuff on Lich King?
Curse of Weakness.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another Curse of Weakness fight. There'll be assignments for Curse of Weakness, and yeah, Defile got real big there. Curse of Weakness and Curse of Elements on the Shamblers as they're coming out. That's the fight, though. It's gonna be rough, guys.
Also, I'd recommend never standing in the path of the Valks as a range that's standing out anyways. If you get picked as a Defile target, your pathway is to either drop it on other people or in the middle of the Valk path.
Yeah, that's a good call. Just go ahead and be out to the left or the right, so that even if you move slow, you don't screw over the raid. The Defile can go anywhere except in the middle of the room or in the path the Valkyries are going to take. Those are the 2 no-nos. Anywhere else, no problem. And then phase 3, it's not shown here, but basically Vile Spirits are going to spawn. We'll have Hunter Traps in the middle, and we'll go back and forth, left and right. There'll be two sets of Vile Spirits per up phase, and then we'll do the down phase where basically we're just all stacking and moving around the room as a team. In little, we'll move for 2 to 3 seconds, and then we'll stop for like 4 seconds and get a few heals out. That's pretty much it, though. Any questions on any of this stuff? Preparation, anything like that? Anything you guys want to go over?
How can I be in the right mindset to perform the best?
There's one thing I wanted to mention about Syndergosa. When I was in for the attempts that we did, there was a lot of things going wrong with the compass component of the Foji Weak Aura, where people either weren't reading it correctly or was kind of giving misleading information where people were kind of going off in different directions. I don't know if that's changed at all since then, but
It's going to give you a heads up display, right? Those are going to be like names in the top center, names on the left, names on the
yeah,
right.
the names was all well and good, but it was like a go this direction kind of thing.
The idea is when you see the names, is that of the perspective when you're standing on the stairs looking at the boss?
It needs to
Or-
be while you're on the stairs looking at the center of the room.
Right.
Yeah, that's all well and good. It was the compass that I think was throwing people off because it was assuming a certain perspective, and people, I guess, maybe didn't realize that and kind of were just going all
So
over the
the way
place.
we're doing it, the compass is helping you it's helping you in reverse.
All right, if we need to change that, we can. But for right now, it's just going to be facing the middle of the room. On that when the ice bomb is really close to the blocks, like right here or like right at the bottom of the steps, that's where you guys really need to be aware of its positioning to avoid getting one shot. Because the further away it is, the more protection you have. But when it's really close to the blocks, it's scary.
One more thing about the ice blocks, kind of piggybacking off of what Jason was saying, where the actual thing that freezes you will connect, and then there'll be like a second and a half before it actually registers. If you run in to that person thinking you're going to line of sight, you can get frozen at that point, like after the projectile connects. So just be careful.
Yep. All right, what else we got, guys? Anything else?
Pet control on the ice blocks on Cindy. Pets do a lot more damage than you think they do. If you AFK them on the block, that might kill it when you don't realize it.
Yep. Good call. Anything else?
You need good pet micro for Blood Prince Council, so get those macros ready.
Yep,
Did you go over the raid cutoff times?
The what?
The cutoff times for each boss?
Yeah. So I just mentioned I didn't really do work on like how many attempts are each boss is going to be limited to. It's just like I said, most of that's going to be decided after night one. You know what I mean? If it's like night one, we were able to get everything up to Festergut and Rotface, and we have Putricide Council, Blood Queen, Dreamwalker, Synergosa, Lich King for night 2. I mean, you might be able to put a few attempts in on Heroic Dreamwalker, but otherwise you're going to need to just do the others on normal mode and go straight to Lich King pretty much. I mean, I'd rather end the night early and have my Lich King kill than end the night without the Lich King kill. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather be on the safe side of time for that night too. But that's something to consider. We'll just have to see how night 1 goes and how deep we get. If we can get Rotface, Festergut, and at least like either Council normal down or Dreamwalker heroic down, all on night 1, then I think we might be able to maybe sneak in some more heroic attempts on maybe like Blood Queen or something like that. We'll just it'll all depend on how quickly we progress night 1. Anything else?
Is he gonna have any help, or they're gonna be on their own?
In terms of like raid leading?
Yeah.
So, Synchro, I assume plans to be there maybe Thursday or Friday.
I'm gonna be there for day 2. I will be
Okay.
there for day 2 for sure.
Day 1, I asked Deary to maybe help with some raid calls, and I know we have some other folk that can help out with raid calls. Jewish, you're gonna need to help out some. Cassie, you're gonna need to help out some for that night number 1. You guys are really gonna need to know it well. So, but we are gonna be a little short in terms of leadership help for night number 1 for raid Z. So you guys really need to know these fights, so that we're not running into any problems. The prog split top thing is going to be in there to like 1-2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So we're going to be there from like 6 until middle of the night. So if anybody else is able to help, chip in and help out that might not be involved with that, it's going to be it's going to be a big help. Anything else? These rosters are in Guild News. Just make sure you know which day you're going, all that good stuff. VOA is going to be very important. Making sure that you acquire plenty of badges. You need to be trying to do VOA spec runs, but 10-man is just as important as 25-man VOA. It's not about the token, it's about the badges. If you get like a pair of gloves or a pair of legs or something from VOA, you've got an entire week's worth of badges for free. It's like a pretty big deal if you get an item from VOA the first couple of weeks. Okay, so the way it works is you use the lower item level tier piece to buy the higher item level tier piece. So, like, let's say I want a pair of legs and I want to buy those pair of legs. I need to buy it with whatever it is, 95 badges. And then let's say I get a normal token. I'm going to take my 95 badge normal tier and the token and buy the normal next tier up. And now let's say I want to upgrade that to a heroic piece. So I'm going to take my normal piece that cost me 95 badges and a normal token, and now I have a heroic token. Now I can upgrade that leg piece to heroic. It's not like TOGC where you can just get a heroic piece and just go bam, go get your heroic piece. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the badges. There is no path without having the badges other than VOA. If you get it through VOA, then you're good to go. Yeah, the 10-man VOA.
Yep.
The 10-man VOA
is baseline.
Yeah, the 10-man VOA is like just the badge version. Okay, the 251 badge version. If you get a piece in VOA 25, then it's saving you a normal token, which normal tokens are going to be about like trophies are in TOGC very, very quickly. It's not really about you getting the token. It's about saving those badges. All right, what else we got? All right, that's we're coming up on 2 hours here, so we're going to call it there. I hope everybody has a great time. It's going to take us some time to progress. Okay, it's going to take some work. All right, but let's have a good time. Let's do the research. A lot of these fights are going to require weak auras, so we're going to have to be doing some updating on weak auras and make sure we're on the same page, same version, shit like that. I know that's annoying, but they're going to make these fights a lot easier. And just gearing is going to be incredibly important these first 2 weeks. You need to be doing everything you can. You need to be doing the daily every single day. You need to be doing your weekly quests for raids, whatever it be, Sotharian, Malagos, whatever the fuck it is. You need to be getting every single badge that you can, and you need to be doing those VOA splits, spec runs, to maximize your chances at getting those pieces of loot. Everybody doing that together is going to make it faster and easier for all of us. So that's the game plan. All right. I appreciate y'all's time. Thanks for showing up. Hopefully some good come of it. We need to be there to support each other. The raids. Maybe the raids want to do a couple extra pulls. We need to have those alts ready to hop in there and help these raids get a few extra pulls in if that's what they need. So be there to support one another. Raid Z is on Thursday, Friday, so you guys will be able to help out with the Sunday, Monday guys, and the Sunday, Monday guys, you guys will be able to help out with Raid Z on Thursday. 10-mans, you guys just need to organize them, get in there. It's not even really, I don't know how much BIS loot comes out of 10-man. It's really the badges. You need the fucking badges out of 10-man. You need the badges out of 25-man. You can't do shit. You can't have any tier at all without badges outside of you got lucky and you got it out of VOA. So that's it.